It's time for Rusty's How To. Hey guys, it's Rusty. About to go in this thrift store here. Why don't you come along with me? Gotta get myself all suited up here and see where we go. Don't mind if I do. Well, I'm heading in here to the store and just wanted to kind of talk you through what I'm doing here. I like this video because this is pretty much a perfect example of a standard sourcing at a Goodwill store. I don't find stuff every time I come in. Most of the time I do go into a thrift store, I do find just a few items, a handful of items, but nothing spectacular most of the time. But it's really those small things that add up. First thing I'm going to be looking at here, as you can see, are these hats. Usually you find them around the clothing in a bin or something like that. I look for vintage snapback hats, things that have patches or things that are like that one in Vail, North Carolina. Things that are from rural towns, tax service, usually advertisements of businesses or of products. If I can find something that has a patch on it or some sort of like John Deere, there are certain types that I look for a lot, sports teams. Also certain brands, K brand, just the letter K. You can oftentimes find that on the snap portion in the back, the plastic portion. It'll say if it's made in the USA or a K brand. That's a really good one. Here what you're looking at is basically a floor kick pedal for a drum that you would kick. As I'm kind of messing with it here, I noticed that as I kick at it, it kind of pops out of place. So I'm kind of wiggling on it. I'm looking at it to see, is it damaged, or if it is, or if there's something going on with it, could I fix it? And this one just had an issue with the spring. It looked like something I could easily adjust to make it work like normal again. And so I got that. So far I've got 3 hats and I've got some of these, a kick pedal. Just because of the way that this particular store is laid out, I kind of rolled around here to where all these bags and things are. First thing I noticed is this bag here, this golf bag. It was actually in pretty good shape, but they wanted something like $20 or $25 for it. If it had been like $5 or $6, I probably would have gone for it. Or if it was like a good brand like Titleist or something. This was, I was taking a look in here inside. This is like a little lunch pail, but it was kind of chewed up and stained, so it wouldn't have been good. But Ninja Turtles, things like that could work. That was an electronic dartboard. I don't typically take risks on electronic stuff all that often, unless it's easy for me to return it. I was not in the town I live in here when I did this, and so it would not have been easy to return that had I tested it out and it not work. But just checking out these bags, random things around here. You never know in these piles what might be stuffed in there, stuff that doesn't go in that area. I saw these tennis rackets here, and I've bought a bunch of vintage tennis rackets. Can be nice, and also newer ones if they're in really good condition. But see, that one, I don't know if you can tell, but the handle itself is quite rough. Those are easy to repair. If you want to go out and buy some new grip stuff that you can wrap around that, it could be easily repaired. I would just have to do my research on comps on that particular one to see if it was worth it, because a tennis rack is kind of an odd shape and length, and so you're looking at around $11 to $14, $15 to ship something like that simply because of the size of it. At first I thought that was like a stapler. It was kind of some sort of a little office device there, but it didn't seem like something I necessarily needed to get. In these, I don't typically get stuff in this area here where there are little figurines and little carved stuff and little clocks, but sometimes I find things. I used to sell a bunch of used shoes, but I don't do that so much anymore just because of the time it takes. You can certainly make money on it, like anything, if you're willing to put in the time and to clean stuff. It can be worth your while. But what I like to look for more specifically is brand new shoes, or shoes that have just barely been worn, where they don't require hardly any, if any, cleaning, and that's the good stuff. to get in the shoe area. These little screwdrivers, if you can find something that's a Snap-on brand or an older Craftsman or older Stanley, those are really good ones. This I thought was some sort of maybe a satellite phone or something. I was taking a look at it. It kind of looked beat up, and again, it would have been harder to return something. I didn't want to take a risk on it. As I'm looking through here, nothing really is catching my eye. I like to look for stuff like old, CD players, portable CD players, or even Walkmans. Walkman, that brand of tape players, can sell for ridiculous amounts of money if you find those. If you have one of those still sitting around your house, man, pull that thing out and take a look. It will blow your mind. This is the area where there's glassware. I look for bottles, valuable types of glasses and stuff like that I may or may not know about. As we kind of roll down through all the kitchen equipment here, I take a gander over here to the side. Again, I'm looking at the glassware, but then these shoes kind of catch my eye off to the side here, and I kind of take a look over here to see, are these new? Because they look new, and man, they look brand new. And it says $10 on the bottom. I really wish they wouldn't take Sharpie and write on them, because then I have to scrub and scrub to try to get that off. It's kind of aggravating. But there you go. They were $10, and so that's a pretty good investment for me. I'm kind of taking my time here because I'm actually looking up those shoes as I'm walking, and I do that pretty frequently as I find things. I try to not do it as much when I'm filming for you folk, but really I'm always looking on my phone. What has this sold for? Have any of them sold? And here's a little mason jar, similar to one I picked up just recently. It's in really good shape, but I got several of them right now that I haven't even had time to list yet. So I just didn't want to add that to the bunch. Although on a normal day, if I didn't have any of those in stock, I probably would have put that in. It would have cost me right around $1. They've got all these bins just stuffed with stuff. And sometimes I dig through it, and sometimes I don't. There was another pair of shoes there, a different brand, but a nice brand. But those were a little bit more beat up than I really wanted to mess with today. I'm always looking. If I see anything that's Halloween oriented, I'm always hoping that I can find a vintage or an antique, anything that has to do with Halloween, because there is such it seems like it's either a large or just a very zealous, very fierce collector field out there for Halloween stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, toys, artwork, postcards, things like that. I was excited when I got to this area because there were all these toys. I mean, just 4 or 5 rows here of a long shelf of toys, and I thought for sure that I was going to kind of come out, but with something big, but you really never know. Sometimes it's very sparse, and you think it's not even, there's no point in even looking, and you end up finding something really nice. Other times, it seems like you've got, there's like going to be a sure thing, and you come out with absolutely nothing. But again, that's sort of the gamble, and that's sort of par for the course for this type of work. You do not know what's there. Sometimes there's valuable stuff, sometimes there's not. I was looking not long ago, I can't remember where I read it, but they basically said that somewhere around 90 to 95% of the items that are donated to a Goodwill are worth $30 or less. So if you put that into perspective and break that up over all the individual items that are in a Goodwill store, the chances of going in there and finding something that's going to be super valuable is quite low. But if it's something that's worth $30 and it only costs me $1, that's a really good find. I'll take that all the time, especially if I could find 4 or 5 of things like that, spend $5 or $6 and be able to turn that into $100 within a week or two. It's absolutely worth it. And honestly, whenever I'm coming out to stores like that, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting to find stuff that I can pay $5 or less for, and triple or quadruple my money is what I'm hoping to do. I saw a bunch of these little dolls. Some of these Monster High, if you've ever heard of that. It's a type of doll that was made for a while. They're not currently producing them anymore, I don't believe. And so those can be quite collectible. I actually came across a few in the boxes, sealed, at a Goodwill, believe it or not. And those they haven't sold yet, but I expect to make a nice return on those. Any type of toy that is, quote unquote, retired or is not currently in production, probably has a fan base, probably has a collector base out there, and oftentimes will sell for more money, because that's sort of inherent in the idea of something that is rare or hard to find is that if they're not making it anymore, nobody else can just go out to the store and buy it. They would have to either already have it, find it randomly in a store like this, or pay, whatever that secondary market cost is, which is going to be marked up quite a bit, oftentimes. Some old Etch-a-Sketches here. I like vintage toys if I can get them, but I particularly enjoy figurines. If I can find old action figures like Transformers, Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joes, things like that. And a lot of those are coming back in style. Walmart and Targets and places like that are coming out with new versions of those things all the time. It's kind of like staring back into my own childhood. I like to look at books if I get a chance here. These books were kind of very disorganized, as you can see on this shelf here, and I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention, spend a whole lot of time there. I was okay with kind of what I saw, but I didn't record here at the end. I came across something else in a few minutes here. It was a nice, it was an antique vintage scale, which I can't remember if I got this in there or not. It's nice to look at these games sometimes. I did find a Pente game. If you ever heard of the game Pente, P-E-N-T-E, quite a nice, fun game, I think. Had some really good memories playing that with some buddies, back in the day. Puzzles, as well as board games, depending on the age and rarity, again, can sell for considerable money. I have not really dived too much into looking at what the cost and value of these board games is, but or these puzzles. But shoot, I mean, somebody could probably find some really nice stuff out there. I see stuff selling all the time. It's just one of those niches, one of those areas that I have not really spent much time learning about. And that's on me. So this is that scale. And these are the hats and stuff that I came away with. I'm showing you what I paid for them, what they sold for. And, I'm going to come out with, a decent amount. Thanks for coming out today, guys. Good luck when you're out there. Make sure you do your research. And if you come across something really cool, let me know. Rusty, how to